Yeah, it's the start of the season. We go to Baylor this weekend. 14 new players, so a lot of new faces, and I think we're just excited to kind of see where we compare with some opponents besides ourselves. We've had some really good opportunities to scrimmage the last couple weeks, and I thought we had a good fall and have seen a lot of development. So it'll be nice to start up this weekend at Baylor against Mississippi State and Baylor right away. So 2 tough games on the first day, and wouldn't have it any other way.
Ausha, when you entered the transfer portal this offseason, was there like a moment you knew WC was going to be a right fit for you?
Yes, I would say the moment that Coach B texted my phone, I knew that that was a school that I wanted to go to.
And then can you talk about that a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
The conversations, like what you liked about it here?
I really liked how inclusive the program is. You can be who you want to be. And I really got a personable feeling from the coaching staff that I always knew that they had. And I knew I wanted to make the right decision, and I didn't want to transfer again, and I wanted to be somewhere I could call my forever home. So, yeah.
Coach, just the challenge of building a roster now compared to 4 or 5 years ago. Just what are the challenges and how different is it for you?
Well, I think for all of us, especially Wichita State softball, the transfer portal's been a blessing in a lot of ways, and we've had some major impact players that have come into our program: Sid McKinney, Cece Wong, Asia Weber, Ryley Buck. I mean, you could name multiple, Zoe Jones, that ended up really being key players. Lauren Howell, and this past year, for us, we saw a little bit of the opposite. Not necessarily that we weren't able to get the key players, but we had a pretty big mass exodus. And, I think that is the world that we live in now, and we got to embrace it. I think, I was talking to a parent the other day about it, and we're relying on, in the sport of softball, 15 and 16-year-old girls to make the right decision on where they need to go to college. And a lot changes in the 2 years between their junior and freshman year, junior year in high school and freshman year in college. The coach can change, the facilities can change, the school can change. I mean, right now, higher education is changing in a big way. You're seeing, just at Wichita State, you're seeing some significant changes, and most of ours have been for the positive, and we've been pretty lucky in that aspect. But so much changes that I think once a kid actually gets to that school, it's a little bit more of that unknown factor. And, we make bad decisions sometimes, or decisions that don't work out, just like that kid makes a decision that doesn't work out. And you can't fault either person for it, and the transfer portal offers up an opportunity to, I don't want to say right or wrong, but, get yourself that opportunity to maybe get the kid that is a better fit, or that's looking for rejuvenation, that's looking for maybe a more educated, more mature decision the second time around, like Ausha said, to try to find that forever home. And I think we've got to embrace it. I think the world of NIL, the world of revenue sharing, the opportunity to pay our athletes is going to create many, many different scenarios as we continue to move forward without any sort of major regulations on that. And we've been very fortunate here to have some very good softball players that just came right before all of the money really became a big factor. And, I think to myself every day, would Addie Barnard have stayed here all 4 years? Would we have been able to hold on to Sid if she would have been able to transfer again? She was in that, she had transferred from Missouri. You can have the one-time transfer exception. When she was going through that, that's all out the door now, and how much would it have cost to kept them, and how much do they deserve? Because they would have deserved a lot of money for what they put up here, numbers-wise, and the impact that they made into our program. And, you just got to embrace it, and you hope you create a really great atmosphere, a really great culture for your student athletes. You hope you have success, and you allow them to be successful on and off the field, and that you grow fine young women that are ready to challenge themselves on the field and when they graduate. And, when you see somebody graduate here, it's becoming a bigger deal, because hopefully they've hung on for 4 years, or hopefully that you've been their second chance at something really great.
Coach, on the other side of that, what can you say about the returners that you have on this roster this season, how they've kind of welcomed in the newcomers, anything about that culture that you talked about and how they've kind of built that before the season starts?
Yeah, I mean, I've got one returner sitting next to us, and the funny thing is of all of our returners, all of them only played in our program for 1 year. So a lot of new faces. There's still a lot of learning, and I think we're always going to go back to where this program has started and the foundation that it has kind of built. We're a effort, energy. We're a program, in my opinion, that's built on toughness, that's built on development, kind of that no-quit, gritty attitude. And, last week we unveiled a motto for our team this year that's built tough. And we want to be gritty. And you'll get to see our girls are wearing some pretty cool protective gear offensively. We haven't quite figured out how to get the pitchers involved in that don't hit, but you'll see they're wearing slide pads, elbow guards, and leg guards that have the Warhawk emblem on them that represents, the women that stepped in World War II that built the planes that ended up being planes that lasted a long time, that took some beatings, but were able to continue to win the war. And that's what we're going to do this year. We know we're a young group. We know that, we've got 21 players on this team, 14 that are new, and all of us have been in the program for less than 1 year, or 1 year or less. And we're going to have to stick together. We're going to take some lumps. We've got one of the hardest schedules that I've had, and that's my jam. I enjoy putting our kids out there and competing against the best. If we want to be the best, we've got to be able to learn how to compete with the best. And, that's the war that we're going into here this weekend, is that, we're gonna learn from our mistakes. We're going to have some tough games, and we're going to come together as a team and fight. And hopefully by the end of the year, we've got that mentality that we've been battle tested enough that we can win this battle and win this war.
Coach, this will be for you and the ladies too, but kind of take me through with all these newcomers that you have with the obviously great track record last year at the beginning of the season. What have you already noticed so far in the new young ladies that are there?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is just a really good relationship. There just seems to be more joy for each other this year, which I think is always going to be something that's a big part of culture, is seeing each other's success and celebrating it. And I didn't see as much of that last year. There was a little bit more of this kind of me over we mentality with some of our kids, and I think that that's changed this year. I think you see them get excited for each other. One of the things that's been really cool that we've been able to implement is a lot of technology, and being able to kind of see the proof in that improvement, whether it's a exit velo or a spin rate or something that we're using, and they can actually visually see it and get excited for each other about the type of hit or whatever. I think those are the things that we're seeing the most of. But the work, we've got a brand new indoor facility that's absolutely awesome. And I think for us, seeing the number of student athletes that are coming in every single day and putting in extra time, whether it's with the coaching staff, whether it's with their teammates, whether it's by themselves, their opportunities are endless with that indoor facility. And I think because of that, it's really allowed our team to gel and understand that the work's going to pay off, but you got to put it in.
And on that, we talked after the fall about the individual workouts and as well as the technologies you've implemented. Have you seen those kind of like teachings, learning curves translate to the spring?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think, for us, we have hit tracks in our indoor facility, and we've got it set up in our first cage, but also can transition it to where we hit live. So like yesterday, we did a full-blown scrimmage in our indoor, and we don't have outfielders, but we could put runners on. We've got a full infield. Pitchers can throw. And so, that hit tracks, right, wrong, or indifferent, we don't really know, but it gives us a measure, right? Somebody hits a ball, and it decides fly out, double. They don't know the speed of the runner sometimes, so we agree to disagree on some of those sometimes. But, that technology piece is really impactful because, when you're in a small space like that, and by all means, it's not small, but full infield, and somebody gets up and absolutely trucks one off the bat, you want to know, was that a home run? Was that a double? Is that a pop-up? What does that look like? And that technology helps us with that. Also, I think has allowed us, as we prep for teams that we're playing against, to understand when we're hitting our best. What's our bat speed? What's our exit velo? For our pitchers, like, is my spin getting better? Am I tired? Am I seeing velocity go down? I think for Jade, somebody that throws hard, she's always been a little intimidated by the radar gun, and so we have to be a little careful about it too. It's always been something that's, been a big part of her pitching. Well, you know what? At the Division I level, your velocity has to have some movement to it. And so we've kind of had to work with her on that. She might lose a little velocity to gain a little bit of movement and things like that. And that's not a bad thing. So, those are the things that technology has helped us with. And I don't know, for us as coaches, it allows us to have a little bit more proof behind what we're teaching and developing. If all of a sudden Coach E's out there and saying, hey, you need to use your legs a little bit more, and this is a drill to do it, and you need to do it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you're going to see some gradual improvements, and all of a sudden, Ausha's up there and she's actually hitting 80, 82 exit velo, and, in the fall it was 75. It's like, Coach Horn's paying off in the weight room, and you're starting to use your legs. And so being able to use that kind of stuff's been huge for our program.
Ryley, what excites you about this year's team, and what do you want to showcase this season?
I think this year is going to be so great, and I think the difference of this year to last year for this team and the newcomers and everything is how competitive we are. I think we all want each other to be better. We want each other to be the best versions of ourselves, and I think the standard that we all hold each other to is going to show out on the field and what we do behind the scenes and at practice and all these other things. I think it's going to pay off in a really big way for this team come this weekend when we play Baylor.
And you personally, how do you want to build off that successful season for yourself going into this year?
Yeah, it was a really good year last year, and I'm really excited for this year. I think I've got a lot of new things going for me, and I'm building off of what I did last year, and I want to be better than I was last year. I have bigger goals this year, and I'm really excited to see if the work paid off.
Ryley, what has it been like for you to see all of the newcomers come this season for you?
It's been really exciting. I think we didn't really know what it was going to look like coming in, and the first couple weeks were difficult for us, trying to get everybody used to kind of what we do here, but I think it was so great for us to receive so many new people because we were able to turn things around from what it was last year. I think last year we had a standard and we had a way of doing things that wasn't necessarily the right way, and I think with how many new people we have this year, we were able to create our own way and our own culture and a new way of doing things, which I think is really good.
Ausha, has the transition been pretty easy for you to kind of mesh with everybody else on the team?
Yeah, I think it's been awesome. It's been very easy. I think everybody's been very welcoming with all the different types of personalities that we have, and they've always made me feel comfortable to come in and, be myself since day one. So I would say it's been pretty easy.
And Ryley, teams have tape on you now. What have you been doing to kind of improve that and keep batters on their toes?
Secret coming. We will find out this weekend if it works, if secret works. But I think definitely just bettering myself off of what I know that I can do and sharpening my tools to be the best, and also looking out bigger picture because I do have 3 more years left that I'm going to have to do something every year. So I think just bettering myself a little bit each year is going to be what it takes. So.
Coach, excuse me, who are some new names that fans should get to know?
Yeah, well, one sitting here, Ausha, has a chance of batting up in the top 3 in our lineup for sure, playing third base. Great glove, but just, dynamic, hits for power. She talks about whether people are welcoming. She's probably one of the most welcoming student athletes we've ever had in our program. She's never met a stranger and has been a really bright light that I think our program is needed outside of softball, to kind of bridge that culture that I think our team really does and has success with. But she's going to do some good things on the field. I think she'll be a fun one to watch. Trinity Allen, transfer from McLennan. She's been crushing the ball. I think it took her a little while in the fall. I think she was disappointed with her performance and kind of nervous. And then all of a sudden it started clicking for her. And just in this last month, the at-bats, the barrels that she's had, the confidence that you're seeing with her swing, I think that she's going to be an impact for us offensively. Jonna Schrader, same kind of thing. She 4-year transfer from Stanford, but still has 2 years of eligibility left from injury. And it's taken her a while from injury. You think about it, you played in a program for 4 years, but you hardly gotten to play because you have been hurt a majority of the time. And so just to get the live at bats and the reaction and different things like that, and we've moved her around a ton defensively to try to figure out where the best place is going to be for her. But a powerful left-handed bat, really quick hands, great speed, can drop a bunt. I mean, just she's going to be a good threat, I think, at the top of the lineup for us. I mean, there's so many. Obviously, we've got 14. I mean, those three offensively. I think one of the biggest additions to our program this year is Chloe Ryan. You know, a really great shortstop, great hands, heartbeat of the infield, was the Atlantic 10 a defensive player of the year last year for St. Louis University. And she just plays with, you know, a love for the game that I feel like is contagious within the field. And so she's going to be somebody that really will anchor our defense and I think make it a lot better this year. You know, we've got some young freshmen, Kenzie Woody, Cammie Smith. I mean, there's so many kids that you could talk about. I think you can't not talk about Jade Sanders, Gabby Fakes, Janelle Wilson, three pitchers that, you know, I like to look at them. They're going on their redemption tour, right? They want to, you know, Jade wants to have one great last year. And I think she's very capable of it. I mean, she was a very good Division II pitcher if she pitches like she does right now. And I think she'll do a great job for us. And Janelle and Gabby both didn't get a ton of opportunity at the Division I schools that they're at. And so this is their opportunity to learn from those types of experiences. They're going to get the ball, and we've seen some really good things from them. And, you know, the cool thing about them that's totally different from Ryley that we alluded to, there's not a lot of film on them. So there's going to be some surprises with them, and if they can have confidence and pound the zone and change speeds, I think that, you know, we'll have a good little, you know, bullpen that I think can surprise some people this year.
Ausha, coming from North Texas, now you're obviously in the black and gold. So what has that experience been like for you, staying in conference and seeing Wichita State now being a part of the program?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting for sure. You know, I still talk to a lot of my teammates from UNT, so there's obviously no bad blood there. You know, I remember coming here last year and really being impressed, obviously, with the indoor that was getting built. And I remember thinking to myself, maybe how would my freshman year would have been different if I would have called Coach B back. But I ain't never admitted that before. But it's been interesting. But like I said, with the help of these two beside me, I think it's been very smooth sailing for sure.
Ausha got enticed really quickly in their recruiting. She committed to UNT like the very first weekend of recruiting. So we never got around to being able to give our spiel of why Wichita State's better than UNT.
Coach, two big McClellan recruits this year. What's it like having them on the team?
They're great. You know, they're great. I think, you know, Michaela Tosh and Trinity. I think the thing about them, and we learned this with Cece, right? So Cece played at McLennan. They're well coached. They're well coached. They're coached hard. They're loved harder. It's just, to me, there's a lot of similarities between our programs and theirs, and you know, just a different level. And they've had a lot of success, and they're bringing a very confident mindset, a very successful 2 years at a McLennan program, and they're bringing that in and bringing that culture. And you know, I think the biggest thing for us with them is that they work hard. I mean, they work hard, and you know, we got to rein Tosh in a little bit. You know, she'll run through a brick wall 6 times and, you know, completely be dizzy from doing it until you say, hey, calm down a little bit. 90% is good for you right now. And that's awesome. That's something that I think can kind of spread throughout our culture in a really positive way.
Ausha, with Jody Epperson also coming from UNT, has she been able to kind of help you show what the culture in the community like is around Wichita State softball?
For sure, you know, she's very quiet, so I had to kind of be the one to be like, you know, what's up, you know. But, yeah, I think that's something that we do have in common, and we quietly take comfort in each other. You know, it's hard sometimes being a transfer, and I feel like last year, knowing that she had transferred the year previously, you know, she made it look really easy. So I knew, looking back on that, I knew that it was possible, and I took comfort in that.
And then Coach B, I know it's a little early, but do you have a batting lineup in mind at all?
No. I mean, you know, to be 100% honest with you, I think, you know, there's some that I feel very confident in saying. Our outfield's a challenge this year. It's you know, there's 6 very capable young women that can defend, that can run, that can hit. There's going to be a dogfight in the outfield for who earns those three starting spots. A lot of it will be dictated by offense, and so I think you'll see some changes this weekend in the outfield just to give some young women an opportunity to kind of see what they can do. And it won't just be like, hey, here's your chance against Mississippi State, good luck. It's going to be, everybody will get a couple games probably this weekend just to kind of figure out where we are. I'm pretty confident in saying Jody will anchor the center field spot, and she's an outstanding outfielder. She's been swinging the bat pretty well. So left and right will be ones that I think you'll see a big difference in. I think our DP spot is going to be a spot that you might see some fluctuations in for this weekend. And obviously, as we continue to go, we've got to be mindful. We play, 53 games or 52 games this season, and we play a lot in a weekend. And so, we've got some capable depth in certain areas that we might rest somebody, just to make sure that they can make it through the season the whole time. So I like where my head's at in our lineup, but what it actually looks like, I think we've got a couple more practices to figure that out. And I think we've got a couple weekends before we go into conference play where we really want to make sure that we're putting the best 10 players out there. Gabby Fakes does hit, so that creates a little different dynamic to our lineup, that if she's in the circle and there's an opportunity for her to swing the bat a little bit, especially because she's a lefty, we'll try to do that. But right now, we'll kind of see what the best formula is over the next couple weekends.
For sure. And then as a coach, what's it like having that kind of competition across the board?
It's the best. I can look at our team and feel confident putting in everybody at some point to see what they can do and not feeling like we're really missing a beat. And to me, the competition at practice has been what has gotten us to the point where you feel that confidence. They're competing, they're getting after it. But like I said, they're cheering for each other. They want to see each other have success at the same time. It's not a very, well, I'm going to put my head down, I'm feeling sorry for myself if I'm not having a good day. It's more about lifting each other up and that person stepping in when somebody's struggling a little bit. And I think they really understand that concept.
Anything else for the softball group? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.